I'm Connie.
And I'm James.
This is Industry News. Valve has recently allowed developers to set up their own discounts. According to IGN, they've recently added a tool for developers to not only participate in Steam sales as usual, but to set up their own sales without input from Valve. In the past, developers would work closely with Valve to plan and decide discount periods based on trends. But now, developers can pick up their own 2 months in advance. All they have to do is select the time and percent discount. Developer-created sales will have a 2-week limit.
This may not seem like gaming news, but it's big. And this media service does technically have achievements on the Xbox One, so we're just gonna go with it. The service I'm talking about is Netflix, who announced last week that they've arrived at a deal with Comcast, the biggest ISP in the US since they bought out Time Warner Cable. The deal entails Netflix paying Comcast for internet access, which seems quite a bit like a violation of net neutrality. People are pulling out their torches and pitchforks all over the internet, and possibly for good reason. But 2 pieces of info temper this news for a bit. First, Netflix was already paying a middleman company, Cogent, for internet access, so this deal is essentially shifting the burden of carrying Netflix's hefty data load, accounting for a whopping 30% of all internet traffic at peak hours, directly to the ISP, which would supposedly allow for faster internet. Second, the FCC has proposed a new set of regulations just a week before the deal was announced, so the malicious elements of the deal might be killed in the cradle if they get through. Still, this is a big issue to watch, as it could set a very different precedent for the way we use the internet, so we'll keep you informed on that.
Happy birthday, 3DS! Earlier this week, the 3DS turned 3 years old. Now, as time has passed, the 3DS is really coming into its own. The 3DS has already spun off some product lines like the 3DS XL and the 2DS. And for me, the 3DS has always been my bread and butter and a reliable friend to me, especially as of late with incredible releases like The Link Between Two Worlds and Fire Emblem Awakening. Especially considering that immediately after release there are a few games worthwhile, I for one am glad to see the growth. Happy birthday!
Any of you that own Nintendo's previous gen consoles might want to remember this. On May 20th of this year, the company is shutting down most internet services for the DS and the Wii. Things like general internet and online shopping will be unaffected, but online play is pretty much down for the count. This is a big blow to games like Super Smash Bros., Brawl, and Pokemon, which have still a pretty robust and useful online play. No word yet on how this will affect players' ability to trade up Pokemon from Generations 4 and 5 to Generation 6, but any out-of-state trading is probably going to be gone. This could be a reflection of Nintendo's financial struggles, but no matter their motivation, this is yet another sign that Generation 8 consoles are here to stay.
Sony stores shutting down? According to IGN, only a day after announcing layoffs at their Santa Monica studio, which was responsible for the God of War series, Sony has announced the closing of 20 retail stores all over the US. Reportedly, 1,000 employees will be affected by the cuts, and there are only 11 retail stores left. Though the PS4 has done relatively well for itself, it's important to remember that it is only a part of Sony electronics, which still includes lines like cameras and laptops.
We all know what it means to get Molyneux. A game comes out that has been hyped by its advertisers and creators to the extent that we think we're getting the most revolutionary title in a generation, and then falls way short of those expectations. There's a reason we call it that. Peter Molyneux, the former head of Lionhead Studios, was the king of failing high expectations with games like Fable and Black and White. Yet, in a rare moment of introspection, Molyneux recently admitted in an interview that he was disappointed by many of the games that didn't live up to his expectations, especially 2010's Fable 3, which he says he should have spent another year working on, but would never quite reach his gem of a vision. In the same interview, he analyzed himself in the following quote: "The trouble with me is I do this stupid thing, and I always do it, where I start talking in an excited way about what I'm working on before I'm finished, and what people are actually seeing is me as a designer being excited about what I'm doing." He really does sound like he's learning something from that mistake. But we're keeping the verb, and I doubt he's ever going to live down that reputation. But the first step to healing is admitting that you have a problem. I was James.
And I'm Connie. And that was Industry News.
It was indeed.
その言い訳は聞き飽きた。
Molyneux East Beach。
はあ？
我々はMolyneux East Beachだ。
気が確かか？